Hello everyone, how's it going? Oh my god, I don't even know where to start. It's been so long. I say this every single time, but when I go for such a long duration without filming anything, and then when I finally sit down and film something, it's like all these years and just experience in general, just doing this, talking to the camera for so long, it's just gone. Hello, how's it been? How's everything going? It's been a while since I have filmed a video on here. I think it's almost been 2 months or something like that. Today we're going to be doing our annual book tag that I do pretty much every year. I think almost for the past however long I've been doing this. I think it's been like almost 10 years now at this point. Today we have a reading check-in for the mid-year book freakout tag. This tag was created by Chammy and Ellie years and years ago. I don't even think they're doing content anymore at this point. So far, suffice to say, this reading year has pretty much been the worst reading year of my entire existence. I think I have completed less than 10 books in the year of 2025. It is kind of crazy. Just have not been really reading. This year, my burnout is so real. I think every book that I pick up, it's just been a struggle trying to push through and finish, or even deliberate interest in wanting to complete and finish that book. Don't get me wrong though, I am interested still in reading, but just picking up the book and the actuality of reading has just been a little exhausting for me. I think I said in the beginning of this year, one of my goals was to be more, present with my content, but I think I did the exact opposite. Like I took a step back, haven't been posting as much or regularly, but there are some pros though. I think I have been a lot more present with just the community and just people in my life so far this year, just really active and busy in that aspect. I truly had this mentality, this mindset going into 2025, making this year my bitch, but life had other plans. So these days I'm trying to look at the little things, just trying to make the best out of things, But truly though, emotionally and mentally, this year has been kind of kicking my ass. So while I haven't been, say reading as much, I've been trying to lean into other facets or just different hobbies like arts and crafts, especially jewelry making. I recently took one of my first jewel ring making classes ever, and it was so much fun. I learned a lot. This is where we could shape and mold and just embed jewelry or design into our ring while making it. One of the things that got me interested in this class in general into ring making was seeing a jewelry ring making technique in class on Craftsy, who are the sponsor of today's video. Craftsy is an online community where essentially millions of users like you and me find creative inspiration and outlet, advance or hone or even learn new skills along the way. They offer more than 2,000 classes in over 20 categories like knitting, painting, sewing, drawing, journaling, photography, even woodworking classes as an option. So there's a huge wide variety of classes that you can take. There are a few classes and videos that I've watched in different categories. I didn't exactly stick to one particular classes, but actually explored a few different ideas and options out there. As I was exploring some of the jewelry making classes, there's one class in particular by Jim Daling where he goes over some of the elements and the different techniques for rings and clasps and all that. And that's what kind of got me interested and started in my ring making, journey, you could say. If you guys are interested in checking out Craftsy and the wide variety of classes they have to offer, you can check out the link in the description below, where the first 1,000 people to use my link will get a full year of a premium membership to Craftsy, valid for new members only, for only $1.49. Because in this economy, that goes a long way. Again, everything is linked down below, and thank you to Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. With that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into our mid-year check-in. So for months January to July, I have read a total actually of 10 books. 10 books exactly. We're just gonna go ahead and get straight right into it with the best book you've read so far this year. For all of the meager scrapping that I did in terms of just reading in general, there's one particular standout that I want to talk about. This book honestly automatically became a new favorite. This is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. This book was phenomenal. It was an immediate 5 out of 5 stars for me. Honestly, for an adult fantasy book that has embedded familial tropes, especially with The Chosen One, the author does a lot of really interesting, new, refreshing ways that I just found to be really fun and exciting to read, especially with all of the reading burnout and fatigue that I have been experiencing. This was just so much fun. The author does something really cool, really inventive with the narration in this particular book. I would say she goes through all 3 different point of views in this book. You have first person, second person, and third person, but weaving them together simultaneously in a way where they all converge together. She's addressing us, me, the reader, while staying in third person point of view, but addressing herself in first person point of view. It's just so interesting, done in a way where I thought it was just so interesting and delightful to read than in most recent fantasy books so far. The book descriptions and the character settings and the way that she goes about world building in general, I think is so strong. It really aesthetically, from how she describes certain things, reminded me of Arcane, the TV show on Netflix. Like, if you really like that type of aesthetic, I think it was just so cool and visually vivid in that environment. It also reminded me of the Hunger Games with a murder mystery in the backdrop, because primarily you're following this one character, not one of the contenders for, let's just say, this Hunger Game-esque scenario, but one of the people who sort of set up these games, this festival in general. And you're following this character who's not exactly your badass or your hardcore, stubborn, no nonsense type of character, right? Don't get me wrong, the character is just so fun and badass on her own, but she's just so incredibly smart. This really stubborn, steadfast Empire scholar who gets thrust in this environment, in these games, while having to simultaneously solve a murder mystery, a whodunit scenario. And it's just so interesting to see how she navigates through all of these challenges while also trying not to be killed. I also feel like in this instance, it was so rare for me to enjoy the setting, the character setup, and the world building in general more than the actual characters. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of different little things that sort of coalesce and come together in a way that's very chaotic, but the author does a really beautiful job of taking their own time, moving all these pieces together in a way that is easy enough for you to follow and understand. All right, so I'm going to be skipping some questions just because I can only do so much with 8 books that I have. So the second one is best sequel you've read so far, and suffice to say, I haven't really read any sequels yet. So I'm gonna have to skip that one and go to the third one, which is new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. So there are obviously so many books I still need to read, as you can see from most of the books behind me, which is really funny because ever since I set my bookshelf up, I just honestly haven't been in the right mood, I guess, to even go over, see what I want to read and pick it up. I feel like I'm in a stagnant stalemate at the moment. It's pretty bad, but I'm just hoping that, honestly, I haven't been consuming or watching a lot of bookish content in general. I have no idea what's out new, what's popular. It was pure luck that I stumbled upon The Raven Scholar by Tony Hodgson because I requested a copy on Libby, and it finally came through. But a new release that has come out that I want to read is Ocean Vuong's The Emperor of Gladness. I love Ocean Vuong. I love all of their books. Everything that they have written is just so diabolically beautiful in that sense. It's just so raw and gritty. I can relate to it. Being queer, sexuality, masculinity, and all that. And so I believe The Emperor of Gladness is their second full-length novel. Really want to read that. Really want to get my hands on that. And the other book that I'm also interested in reading is Maggie Stiefvater's new adult book, which is called The Listeners, I believe. It's a speculative historical fiction book, I think. I'm interested, but I'm not too keen on reading it because it doesn't really sound like something I normally would pick up. But Maggie wrote it, and if you know anything about me, I would pretty much read anything that woman writes. The Raven Cycle, to this day, really nothing has come close to it. Perfection. Okay, so number 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. All right, so I'm actually really interested in reading this one, and it's called This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me. And I've read from this duo author before because they wrote this urban fantasy series that I really love and enjoy. But this book, the publisher is Tor, which I'm really excited for because Tor, to me, is like the A24 of book publishing. They publish really weird, niche, really interesting books, but a really good sort of palate cleanser, if you will. A lot of their books are just really cool, and this one supposedly is Outlander meets Game of Thrones. So our main character actually wakes up in her favorite fantasy series that has yet to finish, and in this world she finds out that she can't really die, essentially. And so it's giving isekai, and I love watching isekai anime, which usually revolves a surrounding character in our world dying and reincarnating in a fantasy world type of element where they get powers, or they just level up to be some god level figurehead or something like that. It sounds really interesting because she has some semblance of what will happen in this book, like a doomsday apocalypse, but wanting to keep the friends that she has made to survive this sort of apocalyptic fantasy setting. So really excited for this one. All right, number 5 is Biggest Disappointment, and this was a new recent release. This was called Direbound another romantasy book. I don't know what it is. I keep gravitating towards this genre because it's something not serious for me. I generally, honestly have a good time most of the time reading these books because they're just quick and easy for me to read. But this one was sort of a disappointment. It just basically had all the formulaic tropes you would get in a book like this. It wasn't bad per se, it was just a little disappointing. Like if I had to choose one of the 8 books that I did read, it would be this one. Very basic, very bare bones. It had some interesting, I guess, elements that I think could have been better, but for a first book in a series, it was pretty lackluster. You're following werewolves, or direwolves I should say, in a very fourth wing setting where our main character, of course, has to survive a bunch of challenges and, you know, bonds with a direwolf and all that. And it's just this whole spiel where you kind of can understand and see where it goes. And it was okay. It was kind of dry bones and not as fun as the other romantasy books that I have encountered so far. So number 6 is Biggest Surprise. Okay, for this one, I would have to go for Blood Over Brighthaven by Emma Wang. So to me, nothing will ever beat Sword of Kagan. That book was just top tier. It is beautifully written, beautifully told. Everything was just so good. So I was going into her other book a little hesitant because I'm like, wasn't sure if it would hold well on its own. Suffice to say, it did. I really enjoyed this book, really liked it, but not as much as I did with The Sword of Kagan. Sword of Kagan is just on another level. It's self-contained, it's simple enough for you to follow. It's so good. Check that one out. But Blood Over Brighthaven is just entirely different on its own. It's so different in terms of aesthetic and characters. You're essentially following this female scholar who is pretty adept in magic in general. And she is pretty much the only female scholar in her class in this academic setting. And together, after bonding with a mysterious janitor at this academy, she finds and unveils certain dangerous truths about the magic system, where she is from, and the entire world as she knows it. So this was pretty self-contained, but between both books, Sword of Kagan and Blood Over Brighthaven, I could see Blood Over Brighthaven being a potential series in general. There's just so much the author could do with both of these worlds. I would be very interested to see if the author would dive back into this world again. There was a lot of elements that I really liked, but a con I would say is that I still had a little hard time connecting with just the characters in general, the main characters. But aside from that, I really enjoyed it, had a fun time. I would definitely recommend it. So most read genre would definitely be fantasy for sure. I don't know what it is. I even said in the beginning of the year, I think for one of my reading goals was to read more literary contemporary fiction. These days, I'm just in the biggest mood. I'm always in the mood to read fantasy. But I guess in this case, a lot of romantasy. I don't know, maybe I'm trying to compensate for the little romance that I have in my life. So the other questions would be like how many books you rated 5 stars, which would be 1. That would have to go to The Raven Scholar. These days, I just have not been reading a lot in general. I think it also has to do something with just reading on the Kindle. I don't know what it is. Listen, I love my Kindle and I do believe that I do read faster on my Kindle. I do miss reading physically in general, but I don't know. I'm like in this weird rut where I don't want to physically read like an actual physical book. When I pick it up, I'm like not even motivated. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Every year though, it's a problem. I've been reading less and less. I don't know, maybe this is the year where I just take a step back in reading in general, in books. Not to say that I don't want to read anymore, but it's just fatigue at this point. So I don't know. I'm going off tangent, but anyways. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it on this bare bones, low effort reading check-in. Please let me know what current books you're currently reading, loving, or hating. Give me some book recs. I would love to know. I hope you guys are all doing well. It's funny though, because throughout the entire time, I guess in between that I haven't been posting as much, I've been filming a lot in general, like just like little vlogs and clips in my life, I guess. Let me know if you want to see any of that, because I did film with the intention of creating like a vlog or reading vlog in general, but I've just really never assembled all of the raw footage together. But anyways, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching everyone, and I'll see you all soon with a new video.